My name is Christopher, I'm the theFitDirector, and today is another episode of Watch Like a Filmmaker. And in today's episode, we're going to be doing something special. Now, some of the bigger production stuff that I have going on for some of the other episodes and the more complicated topics will have to wait because today we're taking on a special journey to answer some questions about the film industry. What we're going to be doing is looking at the most asked questions about the film industry, and I hope that maybe some of these questions you've asked yourself or just maybe something you've wondered about but maybe never asked out loud. Regardless though, I'm going to be answering some of those questions. Now keep in mind this is going to be to the best of my ability because the film industry is very departmentalized. If you do lights, you do lights. If you do camera, you do camera. If you're a director, you direct. There's a lot of different departments involved. So what I can answer, we're going to answer here today. So without further ado, let's get started. So like I said, we're going to be looking at the most asked questions about the film industry, and we'll be searching Google for those questions. I feel like Google is going to give us the widest result of what people are really asking, just because that's a very popular search engine, and of all the millions and billions of questions Google gets in a day, I just feel like this might narrow it down to specifically what people are looking for. So I'm hoping that we'll find those questions today so I can answer them. But of course, like any of my other videos, if you have a question that I maybe don't answer here or on any of the videos I post, you're more than welcome to ask them in the comments below because I will answer there as well. But for now, let's just look at Google and kind of search that for our best idea of questions. And most, okay, I'm sorry, I'm a terrible typer. Most asked questions about the film industry. Did I say Bible for a second there? Okay. All right, so this is kind of what we're getting at our top results. Over 2 million results, over 2 billion results are given us in 55 seconds, but you can kind of see, and there's a lot of options for us to consider here. 5 questions facing the post-pandemic, the film industry facts, but I think we're going to stick here at the very top through Indeed.com. Wow, okay, these might be job questions, but I'll hopefully answer something that you guys are interested in too. So one of the first questions is, what is the interview process like at a film production or in a film production? So this is kind of a difficult question depending on what your goals are in the film industry, whether you're acting or if you're in the crew department or someone working behind the lens. So let's start this with the acting portion. If you're an actor and let's say you're not represented by an agent or something like that, normally what you'll do is you'll reach out to a site or you'll hear some information about an upcoming project. And the interview process starts typically when you could submit a reel, which is a video body of your work that kind of shows a lot of what you can do as a performer. And then maybe a headshot and body shot. And a headshot is basically kind of obviously is what it sounds. It's a picture of your head. There's a lot of different aspects to that and it gets a little complicated, but it kind of depends on the vision of the project, director, producer, whatever. So when you send the headshot, your body shot, and your reel, that's kind of how the process would start with an actor. Then once they review your body of work, your headshot, body shot, and reel, you are then asked to come in for an audition. Now in that audition is what I would consider more of a standard interview process, because in the audition is when you're showing usually the casting director, a director, maybe if they have the lead role already picked and you're going in for a co-star or co-leading position, that actor will be there, the lead will be there so that you can work with them. That's not always in the beginning stages, but it varies. The film industry doesn't follow all the typical rules of a standard job application, but at least for this part, as an actor, once you're in the audition and in front of your potential employers, really, honestly, your potential employers, you have the ability to perform, and normally this is going to be with a script, given some dialogue, and then there you go. In my experience, I've taken a project on after the first audition, I got it, and other experiences has taken a second, third audition, and I know people that have gone on to fourth and fifth auditions. So you're not always guaranteed after that first audition. The next step, of course, ultimately is you get the job or you don't. Okay? And then you get the job, great. Now you go on to that. And then you go on to the production, you go through agreements, contracts, all that. You don't, you get back out there and you do another audition. You send another headshot, you send another body shot, you send another reel, you keep going at it. The crew side's a little different though. You're not usually doing auditions. I have seen some productions ask for a reel still, so they still want to see a body of your work, Other times it's been you put your qualifications out there, like your resume out there and what you've done, and then you kind of go out there to some of the staffing sites. There's a lot of different ones out there. But to be completely honest with all of you, the interview process is a little different than some jobs, your normal jobs, because it can be about the connections you have and the connections you've made. If you worked on a project and someone liked you, they can bring you on to another project, and that's regardless of your body of work, your headshot, your body shot, if you're an actor. Like, if they like you or you're fun to be around, like, you can get the jobs through that way. So it's not always an interview process. Sometimes you've proven yourself to a certain person that wants to have you around for the next project. And then in other times, you work with someone you like, so you try to bring them onto your project. So to sum it up, what is the interview process like in film production or at film production, like it's written? It's part what you've done, it's part what you can do, and I'd say the third part is definitely more about the connection, so you're not always doing an interview process. So it is a little different. And let's go on to the next one. So our next question is, how are the working hours at film production or in film production? And this is another tough question because it can vary. The best way for me to describe this outside of a normal job, but then also kind of wrap our heads around it so it makes a little bit more sense, is depending on the production, whether it's a union production, an independent production, whether it's a commercial, and again, independent or union, times can differ. What I would suggest to anybody getting into the film industry is kind of plan on the long day. Plan on like a 12-hour day. And for those of us just kind of casually watching our films and enjoying our content, keep in mind the people on set are doing work. They are working. It doesn't matter whether it's the person in the background that you don't really see serving tea, or it's the person in front of the camera really selling the story, or even behind the camera giving or providing that story. Everyone's working really hard, and it's tough, but if you love it, you stick through it, you do it. And I think that's a huge thing that people, whether watching it or being a part of it, can understand. You do it because you love it. You go through the hours, you make it work for the idea of the project, the vision, your responsibility in it. There's a lot of different factors, but what are the hours like? To kind of answer that in a summary, they're long. They can be long hours. Not always, but typically. And on to the next one. So our third question is, how would you describe the pace of work at film production or in film production? Okay, so quick. Right off the bat, it's a quick pace. Keep in mind too, every production, because those long hours or short hours, like everyone's getting paid by the hour. You know, just like the standard job. So if you're somebody crunching numbers on a project and you're investing in a project, and you know our major blockbusters get millions and millions of dollars, right? So that's because of the cost of everything it takes to go into that. And if you've ever worked in any business or business management, you understand labor is a huge cost to any work environment or to any production. And it's not just about crunching numbers too. Like, I don't want to say this is all about the numbers and, you know, making ends meet at the end of the day, which is of course important. Like, you have to do that. But I'm also saying that it's being courteous. You know, when you're quick and you're taking care of what you need to do, the person next to you can focus on what they need to do to get the job done well, because they want to go home. They have lives outside of work as well. So to summarize, and this one's kind of easy because I feel like every job's pretty quick paced. There is a bottom line that you have to meet. There is, you know, a cost of labor. There is a cost of production. You know, most people I feel like understand that, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But just remember that when you're thinking about the film industry and the work environment in it, it's got to be fast. Not only take care of yourself to make yourself more valuable for the next project you're on, but also because you want to take care of the people around you. You don't want to keep everyone there longer than they have to be because they have wives, they have kids, they have husbands, they have somebody out there maybe waiting for them to get off work, and they want to go home, enjoy a meal, kick back, watch some of their favorite content, maybe even watch a little bit of Watch Like a Filmmaker. So our next question is kind of an interesting one. It's, how did you feel about telling people you worked at film production or in film production? So this is an interesting topic because I feel like there is a belief of what the film industry is, and then what people think, like, oh, you work in films in the film industry versus the reality of it. And I'm not going to be harsh on the reality of it because I do love being a part of it. I do love working in it. But at the same time, it was kind of like cool, but like, what's your real job, And I thought that was kind of an interesting, if you got a job somewhere, no one would say like, oh, you have this job, what's your real job? The best way to describe working in the film industry is if you were an independent contractor. You're the kind of person that's bidding for a job, getting a job, they work that job, and then it's on to the next one, So I think that's another side to it that's not as understood. I feel like there's a misconception, not always, but I feel like sometimes there's a misconception that if you work in the film industry, you're rich, because what people are exposed to, like the celebrity side of it, or the big names that hit the movie theaters, or even the streaming sites, everyone just assumes like, wow, you're doing work in this, you must be rich. And that's not entirely true. There is, top percentage of people that are millionaires, that do really well, but there's also a lot of people that are making like, 100,000 or less a year. So outside of the money aspect of it, when you're talking to someone about being in the film industry as, let's say, an actor, right? Some people don't always take it seriously because, if you're a construction worker pouring asphalt, may feel a certain type of way about an actor. It's not weird or uncommon for me to show up to work and get dressed up in an outfit and get powdered with makeup to have my hair done, those kind of situations. So I can understand that maybe people with harder jobs may look at acting as like, wow, does that even work? Yes, it's absolutely work. And it's not for everybody. So that's also kind of an interesting thing about when you mention you work in the film industry, because depending on where you're at and what you do, people are like, that's your job? That's what you do? Okay, cool. I think another side to it too is that, at least on a positive note for me, in my experience, is that when I mention people, at least the close friends and family that I'm in the film industry, a lot of them support that as, my dream or my passion, the thing I really want to do. And it's been very positive, very positive. You get a lot of support, you get a lot of encouragement, and, like I said, I've had a lot of friends and family reach out to me and say like, wow, attaboy, or good job, or keep going for it, don't give up on your dreams. I feel like that's really cool. And that doesn't really separate, from a career in any aspect. I don't feel like that separates the film industry from other industries. But when someone shoots for their dreams to be an architect, and when someone shoots for their dreams to be in the film industry, there is a different kind of reaction among the public. If your dream is to be an architect and you really want to be an architect, like, go for it. Boom. And you'll have that support from your friends, your family, your colleagues, the same way I would say I feel from pursuing work in the film industry. But the overall public perception of architect versus Hollywood director or Hollywood actor, someone who's getting to travel the world to do their work in the film industry, just seems a little more glamorous. And I didn't make the rules on that, it's just what it is. The initial reaction from people and how they feel about when you say you work in the film industry, it can vary, like anything else, but I'd say there are misconceptions that work towards the favor of it, there are misconceptions that work towards the negative of it, but overall, it wouldn't change a single thing about me and my pursuit of it. But it is interesting. It is interesting to hear what people think of a work in the film industry, no matter what role it is you're playing. Cut! Alright guys, we're going to have to stop right here because I do have some other projects I need to get to outside of YouTube. But I've really enjoyed this topic and I feel like I want to share more with you. So let's call this part 1. But thank you for your time this week as you've joined me for this episode. And like I said, we will continue with a part 2 of more most asked questions about the film industry next week. But for now, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Christopher. I am the Fit Director, and this has been another episode of Watch Like a Filmmaker. And until next time, bye!